Before we begin, we believe that knowledge is valuable. If you agree, consider subscribing for more videos just like this one. In the crucible of conflict, where nations grappled for supremacy, the Ross rifle emerged as a curious anomaly in the weaponry of war. Designed with patriotic fervor as a Canadian response to the British Lee Enfield rifle, it stood as a symbol of domestic ingenuity and autonomy. Yet, beneath its polished exterior and lofty aspirations, the Ross rifle concealed a litany of design flaws that would echo through the pages of history as a tragic misstep. In the wake of the South African War of 1899-1902, Canada found itself in dire need of a reliable rifle for its troops. Britain, embroiled in Lee Enfield supply shortages, denied Canada the coveted rifle, compelling the need for a homegrown solution. Sir Charles Ross, an aristocrat and inventor, seized the opportunity to not only build a small arms factory in Canada, but also to showcase his own design, a rifle that, unbeknownst to all, carried the seeds of its own downfall. Ross's initial offering, the Ross Mark I, boasted a straight-pull bolt-action mechanism reminiscent of the Austro-Hungarian Mannlicher rifle. The Canadian government, led by Robert Borden, saw in this proposition not only a practical solution to their rifle needs, but also an opportunity to assert their independence from British arms. However, in their eagerness to embrace a domestically produced rifle, they bypassed the crucial step of rigorous testing, a decision that would prove catastrophic. By 1903, Ross had set up his rifle factory in Quebec City, and production of the Mark I commenced. The war in South Africa had concluded, but Canada remained committed to the deal, signing a contract for 12,000 rifles to be delivered by the end of the year. The initial supplies, however, bore witness to the Mark I's shortcomings, leading to its eventual recall in 1906. Despite a series of modifications and the introduction of several Mark II models, the rifle remained plagued by issues that hinted at the impending disaster on the horizon. As the ominous clouds of World War I gathered, the Mark II Ross rifle found its way into the hands of Canadian soldiers in 1911. This iteration, though an improvement, was a harbinger of the troubles that lay ahead. The true test came when the Canadian Expeditionary Force arrived in the trenches of France and Belgium, armed with the Ross Mark III, the pinnacle of Ross's design, and ultimately the harbinger of doom for many. The initial allure of the Ross rifle lay in its long barrel, which rendered it an excellent hunting and target rifle, and a coveted choice for snipers on the Western Front. However, this very attribute proved its Achilles heel in the harsh conditions of trench warfare. The Western Front, with its dirt and mud, proved to be a crucible that the Ross rifle was ill-prepared to endure. Its delicate machinery succumbed to the unforgiving environment, rendering the rifle inoperable when soldiers needed it most. The defining flaw, however, manifested in the rifle's propensity to jam, a grievous shortcoming that transformed the battlefield into a theater of frustration and despair. The blame was partially placed on the poorly made British ammunition, which, while compatible with the more forgiving Lee Enfields, proved unsuitable for the Ross. The result was a catastrophic failure in the heat of battle, with soldiers grappling with a weapon that betrayed them when the stakes were at their highest. Canadian soldiers, armed with the Ross rifle, faced a dilemma that transcended the chaos of war. The very instrument meant to safeguard their lives became an unpredictable adversary, prompting many to discard their Ross rifles in defiance of orders. The soldiers, driven by the instinct for self-preservation, sought solace in the familiarity of the Lee Enfield, a rifle that had proven its mettle on the battlefield. The unfolding tragedy of the Ross rifle extended beyond the trenches to the corridors of power. Sir Sam Hughes, a fervent advocate of the rifle's purported accuracy, found his reputation tarnished in the face of its battlefield failures. The Conservative government of Prime Minister Robert Borden, grappling with issues of administrative incompetence, faced embarrassment as the Ross rifle's shortcomings became glaringly apparent. Hughes's dismissal in 1916 marked not only the end of a tumultuous career, but also a symbolic acknowledgement of the rifle's ill-fated legacy. Efforts to rectify the Ross rifle's jamming issues were undertaken, but they proved too little, too late. By the fall of 1916, the rifle was officially withdrawn from service, and the Canadian soldiers were rearmed with the dependable Lee Enfield. The Canadian government, in an act of pragmatic necessity, expropriated the Ross Rifle Company's factory in March 1917. The ignominious end of the Ross rifle, however, did not relegate it to obscurity. Approximately 420,000 Ross rifles were produced, with 342,040 finding an unexpected second life in the hands of the British, who purchased them. During the Second World War, some Mark III Ross rifles were resurrected from storage, finding their way into the arsenals of the Royal Canadian Navy, the Veterans Guard of Canada, coastal patrol units, military training depots, and even reaching the British Home Guard. A bitter echo of a weapon that had promised much but delivered naught. In retrospect, the tragic saga of the Ross rifle serves as a poignant lesson in the perils of national pride clouding judgment. The haste with which it was adopted, the reluctance to heed warning signs, and the blind insistence on its superiority all contributed to a calamity that echoed across the battlefields of the First World War. The Ross rifle, once envisioned as a beacon of Canadian innovation, became a symbol of misfortune, a cautionary tale etched into the annals of military history.